So, like, it just feels like that's the thing that stops us every year.
I think LeBron's getting a taste of what he did for 9 straight years, where he was the roadblock that prevented a lot of teams from winning the championship. And now he went out west. Now he's seeing that there's other roadblocks throughout the league just because he got older.
Is he? Are the Denver Nuggets are the reigning champions and they doing their thing, but are they just this roadblock for the rest of the NBA? They just dominating the Lakers.
I think they might be.
I hope.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love for them to be, but LeBron did 9 straight years. They
But
just on year 1.
No, I'm saying that it's probably starting to be that way. I think they starting to hit their stride.
I don't know if they're going to get 9.
They're not going to get 9.
No, but they still, for like this next few years, will be the roadblock that you're going to have to beat them in order to get to the championship.
I mean, the Golden State Warriors did this.
Yeah, the Golden State
So, I
Warriors
mean,
did it too.
this ain't really nothing new. I just think
we're seeing a change in direction.
I just think the
within
Lakers suck.
I
really think the
it's
Lakers
just-
suck.
I think I would have took the Lakers in a lot of series against other teams.
I think that I would have too, but now I see this and I'm like, why would I have?
Denver is so good that if their starting 5 is on the court, there's nothing you can do.
I just also feel the Lakers just like basic defensive, like they make defensive mistakes.
Yes.
They just don't. They like will not stop the ball. They'll let Aaron Gordon dog them on just straight wide open dunks.
Thank you, Dad. Now you're getting my energy, Dad. Come on.
They literally like
Talk
these
about it.
basic basketball necessities that
And
you
the
need in order to win.
playoffs.
Yeah, in game number 3, Aaron Gordon had 8 second chance points in the first half.
Bro,
And
they
when
were
y'all
getting
was
dogged
dogging
on
to start off the
offensive boards by
game, and then after that, it was like Aaron Gordon.
I cannot fathom. And Boston did the same thing in their game that they lost, but they're a much better team than the Lakers. When you are playing playoff basketball, that means your coaching staff put together a game plan for a series on a team that we're about to play potentially for 7 straight games. We're going to play this one team. How are there certain miscues? You don't know if y'all are switching or not? The Lakers have possessions where it's like, oh, am I going?
Yeah.
No, you was going. How?
That happened a lot
How?
last night too, bro.
You lost 10 times to this team. How?
How many times in transition Aaron Gordon just went to open dunk? How does no one pick him up the first 2 times he did it? So now the third time he's still doing it.
Yeah.
That shit just don't make sense to me.
It does not. And then again, we talk about top to bottom. So LeBron James, as great of a basketball player you are, the second greatest player to ever play this game. You fall in line with some of this.
Yeah.
I am
sure.
I am so sick of the body language and the huffing and puffing and
Like the play when he
you
dribbled
don't
off.
box out.
Yeah.
You had a miscue right there. Yeah. You was the last person back on defense right there. Yeah, D'Angelo Russell took a nut-ass shot in transition that early on the right wing, 3-point shot.
When he was
I
0 for
agree.
7, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree that was a
know what I
nut-ass
mean?
shot. I probably would have puffed and puffed too, Bron.
This is
but
my
damn,
thing,
at
though,
some
P.
point, accountability has to be had for LeBron and Anthony Davis as much as it is for anybody else. And you know the other thing I'm irritated with that is a part of this culture in the NBA right now? I don't want to go at nobody integrity and say anybody ain't hurt. That's not what I'm saying. But right now in basketball culture in the NBA, they are making it look cool to be hurt and not playing. I'm so sick of people who haven't played and they on the sidelines, fresh as hell, every game looking like it ain't eating them up to not be playing. If my team is down 3-0, and I am a former lottery pick who can't really stick in the league. I've been on a bunch of several teams. I'm talking about Cam Reddish.
Okay, I'm like, wait. Okay.
But he ain't the poster child. I seen him, and it made me think of I see so many guys that just be fresh as hell. There is no damn.
I know where you're coming from. I feel the same way. I feel like I watched Vanderbilt the whole year. He been on the sideline, fresh as
for
hell.
sure.
And he been hurt.
Let's
he
be real.
been hurt.
We would do the same shit.
Contrell.
He been hurt,
In the
but I
regular
feel it,
season,
though.
do not get me wrong. I will put that shit on. I will put that shit
What do you want?
on.
You want him to wear just like a Lakers jumpsuit?
At a certain point, when my team is playing that bad, I would be out there. I would be on some Kawhi Leonard shit in a straight jump shoot, and I would have some type of look on my face. There would be something that somebody could feel from me. I just be saying, and I'm not pointing out these guys. I'm just saying when I seen Cam Reddish, it sparked in my mind why are there so many players in the NBA who are so comfortable and don't seem like they are affected by not playing in these moments? The regular season is one thing, but it be certain guys who have injuries, and we work in the NBA. This is our job. I don't even know what's going on with him, Derek. I don't even know what's going on. Then you go look. All right, his ankle hurt. He got soreness right here. His finger is jammed.
I don't think that's.
Man, that shit weak to me.
That's not it, man.
That shit weak to me. That shit weak. You don't have to. You don't have to like it. I'm talking for me.
No,
that shit
for sure,
weak,
for sure.
man. That shit weak. I don't give a damn what nobody's saying. I'm not even here to argue it. That's my stance. It's too many people that's just okay with not hooping.
But how do we know he's okay with it though? Because he put on the outfit.
Because it happens so much.
I think Cam Reddish, he has played, 20 games in the last 60?
But Contrell,
Vanderbilt's played 10 games.
This is why it's dangerous. You have to listen. All I said was, when I seen them, it sparked it in my mind. I'm not saying Cam Reddish don't want to play. I made that very clear. You
said he's okay with it.
No, I'm saying when I seen him, that made me talk about the culture that's in the NBA, not him. You're taking it as him.
No. Fuck the names.
Yeah.
But that's based on the fact that he had a fit on?
No.
He put that shit on?
It's just NBA culture, KB. You're taking it as Cam Reddish direct.
I don't think that's what it is anymore, though.
That's
I think
what
he shifted away.
Though. That's what I think it is.
I think
there's too many guys who are okay with not playing basketball, man. They're okay with not playing basketball.
I think 2023, 2024 shifted all of that.
For the start, because you've seen Kawhi, Anthony Davis, but those are because those guys are trying to get their awards. But it's not a lot of these other guys are not going to be eligible for these awards. There's too many guys on a night basis. Why do we get reports every day? Man, this dude might not be doing this. He might not be doing that. He might not be doing this. It's like, damn, bro, damn. And don't get me wrong.
That's always been the case.
Don't get me wrong. If somebody got an injury report is different than somebody legitimately not playing. I've seen guys play in a lineup one day and the next day they're not playing, and then they play again, and then the next day they're not playing for 2. It's just so hit or miss. But in these playoffs, it just feel like there's just this lack of urgency for a lot of these teams that are specifically getting their ass bust. But again, so I can make myself completely clear, this isn't about Jared Vanderbilt or Cam Reddish. I'm not saying that they don't. I was going to
say that to you because I brought him up too, but it wasn't mostly.
I know Pierre said they had that shit on. Yeah. But like if I see somebody with that shit on, it stands out. But I'm just looking at it like, oh, he got on a nice fit, but it don't rub me as like he don't want to be out there. Like I think those dudes do, like they hungry to be out there. Like I think, like for example, I think Cam Reddish want all the minutes he can get. He been bouncing around. When he was playing his ass off. But then he got hurt, and then he fell out the rotation, and then he got hurt again, and it's been a domino effect since then.
Can I ask you a question as a Laker fan? When you watch Cam Reddish play, it looked like he want all the minutes he can get. I'm a Cam Reddish fan.
Once he came back from the injury, not really. But again,
you don't think he played with urgency after his injury?
I thought
he's just not very good at basketball.
He wasn't playing well before the injury. He was one of our energy guys, and I could see that he was on the minutes.
One of his biggest downfalls in his entire basketball career has always been his nonchalantness. He is a guy that you can watch and not really know if he wants to even be out there. That's always been his thing. I am a Cam Reddish fan because I thought he was going to be a borderline all-star in this league. It's not about his skill or his talent, but because he came up, I just brought his name up because you brought his name up.
I thought that this year he played with that though.
And I thought this year he did too.
And you know another thing too that I should also put out there that I won't go into real specifics, but the reason I think the way that I think is because I know things that I know. Because I know people that are in the NBA. So when I have certain conversations and I find out certain things from people and I not even find out, but just hear certain things, it all starts to click in your brain. You know what I'm saying? You see a guy, he be hurt. Guys don't travel with the team and different things like that, or you know what I mean, guys isolated, you know what I mean, we know agents, we know people who work for this team or that team and do things, and I'm not here to spill anything or I'm just saying in a basketball culture, to me there is just a certain way that things I think be looked at and portrayed. That's all. I do think part of your argument, KB, was real good because they were the top heavy guys. So I do think it is good that Anthony Davis tried to play as many games. Kawhi tried to play as many games because they're eventually going to set the tone.
Like Kawhi shouldn't be playing right now, but he's playing.
But I think because there were so many years of guys not playing, we have to reverse engineer that now. Now that has to be the thing where you have to do that all the time. You have to try to play every game every year now because we done did this for the 5 years and we made it look a certain way. Now 1 year ain't gonna change the trajectory of that. But that's just me.
The Caitlin Clark discourse, Stephen A, Monica McNutt, the Pat McAfee thoughts, feelings, opinions.
I can't act like I'm a WNBA expert. Like, this is my first year watching as well. So I kind of defer to the people that have been around, like Chanae, who had a good segment on SportsCenter, where she gave, like, literal clips of, like, hey, physicality has always been a thing in the W. But I think it's okay to recognize that Caitlin Clark has been targeted in a way. And I don't think that's anything bad. I think that we also see that happen amongst sports where, like, Anthony Edwards said, I want to dunk on Victor Wembanyama. It might just be different the way it's transferred, but like when you have a generational person that is really, really scouted on, Ricky Davis said that he didn't want LeBron on the team because they already got bucker getters. Like, this is something that happens with generational talents or highly scouted, touted people. And eventually it will die down. That's just the reality of it. So yeah, some of the things that has been happening is kind of crazy, but it also is just sports, it's competitiveness. And I saw Monica McNutt say this on
the Nightcap, right?
Nightcap, that I think it's okay to acknowledge that there might be a hint of jealousy, but it's also competitiveness as well.
Yeah.
That these women want to show that it's not just about, like, y'all might be here for Caitlyn, but I want y'all to recognize that I am a hooper as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I like to defer to the people that have been around. And
I love some of the things you said, because that was my thing. What I don't really like is some part of what the media is doing. Number one, especially something like what Pat McAfee said, because I think you can't have it both ways, right? So one of the things Pat McAfee said that got pushed to the side because he said the white bee thing that kind of dominated the headlines was he was saying that, man, a lot of talking heads are saying this draft class. No, let's keep it real. And he's trying to say it's all Caitlin Clark. And I think that's false. I think Caitlin Clark has dominated it, and she's the spearhead of it all. But to sit up here and pretend that this isn't a strong draft class, that we're not talking about Cam Brink for whatever reason. I've seen her everywhere. My girl know who that is. You get what I'm saying? Angel Reese, talent for talent, I'm taking Caitlin Clark all day. But Angel Reese is a big part of it. And for me, when I was getting into sports as a young kid, the role Angel Reese played since college in the Caitlin Clark story is always needed.
Yeah.
When you have a Derek Jeter, you need an Alex Rodriguez. When you have a Kobe Bryant, you need an Allen Iverson. When you have a LeBron, you need a Carmelo Anthony. I was around when Carmelo Anthony wasn't looked at how he is. When David Stern and NBA had a problem because he was still going to Baltimore in the hood, being on DVD, saying wild stuff that NBA superstar that's emerging shouldn't say when you're probably going to have a Jordan shoe or a commercial. You shouldn't probably be in the hood on street DVDs. You get what I'm saying? I remember the conversation before Kobe got into legal trouble where it was like Kobe is this guy and he's winning in LA and everything. And then you have Allen Iverson, who was tattoos, had a hardcore street rap album. You kind of need the villain role. And I remember how the women's game in college basketball exploded when Angel Reese did the thing like that, and it created this battle and this narrative, and she dove into the villain role because it's needed. And so then when you use that and try to act like her and others didn't play a part, you're now promoting what puts a target on Caitlin Clark's back, because you're ignoring everybody else and saying this is only because of her. She is a big part of it. We cannot ignore. Sure. She is the face, and she is the big spearhead that leads into all of this. But to single-handedly say this is only because of her is the type of stuff that puts in envy and jealousy. So it's like you can't be mad that people react in a certain way or a certain tone, number one, when it's competitive, because that's a part of it. But then you also can't do the whole it's only because of her, it's all because of her, and then look crazy when people feel away. Yeah. That's going to be the nature of the game. Yeah. You took the words right out of my mouth for the example that I was going to put up. The Cleveland Cavaliers drafted Bron and his own teammates were hating because everything was about Bron. That's a natural human emotion, is to have some jealousy. You get what I'm saying? Especially when you in something like that where you put in so much work. Yeah. Blood, sweat, and tears, and all of a sudden everything we've ever done is ignored because a kid, a teenager is coming into the league. And then I think another thing that Monica McNutt brought up in the nightcap that was extremely correct was that because Caitlin Clark is a 5'9" guard, it's easy to see the physical play on her versus like a Victor Wembanyama. I think Victor Wembanyama had a target on his back, but I think he's also 7'4", so we couldn't see it physically play out of him being affected by some of it. But the comparison that I would make, and she by talent and what she's doing for her league, it's nowhere near the shape or form. Lonzo Ball.
With Pat Bev?
That. When Lonzo Ball came in and everybody wanted to shut up his dad, it's kind of how I see the Caitlin Clark thing. Obviously, two different players. She's the number one player. She's, but like all of that talking is what made, and Lonzo Ball didn't do anything to nobody, but it's like,
it's not like Caitlin Clark is out here talking trash.
I remember John Wall was also like, oh yeah, we finna get on his bumper because you talking crazy. Pat Beverly. Pat Beverly is like the Kennedy Chandler, where she's not a superstar, but I'm playing tough. I'm known for having a chippiness thing, and I'm finna come show you what it's about.
It's kind of similar to like Steph Curry, how he came in thin, small, he had to adjust to the physicality of the league. He had to put on 15 pounds of muscle so he didn't get pushed around, and like he had to adjust to the physicality of the league, and that's similar to what Caitlin Clark's gonna have to go through because she's coming in thin, small, not used to the physicality of the W. And that's just something she's gonna have to grow into and learn how to eventually be able to hold her own and be able to take the physicality and even dish that shit back out sometimes. And I think it's just like rookies go through this. I think every rookie, a lot of rookies who's highly talented, like P said, they go through this. They're gonna have to deal with the physicality, just like your welcome to the league moment. And everybody's doing it. It's just there's so much more attention on it because it's Caitlin Clark.
I mean, I think with the McAfee stuff, the 2003 draft class is amazing. It's not just Bron, though. He's the greatest ever. But it's not just Bron. You still can say that Bron is the guy from the draft class and still recognize there's a Wade here, there's this guy, there's that guy. And I think that was part of the thing that was missed from that conversation. Also, a lot of it is really social media based and how toxic it can get in all sports.
Yeah.
But now we're talking about a marginalized group of people and women in sports that now is just to the highest degree,
I agree.
which makes it tough as well.
Like, we should be pushing it as much as we can. We're pushing it just the wrong way, you know?
It's so disappointing. It's so disappointing. The league of the WNBA is finally getting to a certain spot where they could be on a first take at a certain thing, and
they're getting that buzz that they've been wanting.
And this is what y'all do with it. It's so much me. Even the Monica McNutt and Stephen A. I watched the nightcap to see what she had to say in addition. I watched Stephen A. clip of his thing. And as much as love and respect I got for Stephen A., I hated his response. His response went into what he did for women. Monica McNutt, her point was never about what you did for women in the workspace of ESPN and First Take. It was about saying a fact, which is 3 years ago, you weren't talking about the WNBA that way, and you wasn't. And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Nobody was. But you don't have to cap in front. We know who you are.
Yeah.
So those are things that are kind of, and then, we going into this conversations about race and gender and all these other things.
It's so weird to see that the racial divide that can come from this. Like, I even seen a tweet yesterday. It was like, why are black men defending Caitlin Clark on like their platforms? I'm just like, why does that have to be something
all out the question, bro?
It's so.
Why can't we just look at it and talk about it for the sport and hooping in general instead of bringing it into like this political?
Those are just chronically online people.
Yep.
Really. Like I don't know.
But race was also a conversation in some of these talking heads.
For sure.
As if we never had a Sue Bird. As if we haven't not had a Diana Taurasi. You get what I'm saying? Like, this ain't new. Sabrina got the best shoe in the game. Kelsey Plum had the record before Caitlin Clark broke it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we've also had the Lisa Leslie's, the Candace Parkers. The NBA, the WNBA has always been something that's been blended as far as talent. Yeah. So that conversation is out the window. That's goofy.
Some of it can be warranted because when Angel Reese did this thing, that's where it turned into. That was when it turned into like, oh, if Kayla Clark did the same thing, you would praise her. And boom. It's like the whole meme of when John Moran did that dance, and then that quarterback did the dance, and the captions were completely different, right? So I think we can acknowledge that there could be an overarching like race thing here, but majority of us just want to fucking talk about basketball.
Yeah.
Literally.
That's all we really. That's what this show is. That's where the shows on TV in most cases are. It's just.
And I just think it's unfortunate. Caitlin Clark has become like a guinea pig for clicks. So like anything that happens to her, people are gonna like somehow use it as a form of engagement for their platform. Where, she's just a hooper. She gets very good at basketball.
You know what that circle backs to?
What's that?
Conversation we had a long time ago. Bring gatekeeping back. I don't want anybody
That's so long ago.
who has ignorant purposes to come into the things we love, to get off of those ignorant purposes through this as a vessel.
Yeah.
Don't use Caitlin Clark and her ability to create a race conversation because you're racist. Don't do that. Our game, men, women, college, professional, we want everybody to succeed. I can't remember the last time, if ever, I got on the phone with anybody I know that loves basketball or sat up here and had a conversation with any of y'all, private, publicly, Discord, or whatnot. Man, I hope that top pick fail.
Yeah.
Man, I hope Victor Wembanyama ain't on shit. I hope Angel Reese fail. I hope Caitlin Clark fail. Who watches sports seriously with a passion and a love and is hoping that any player who has star potential doesn't become it? It helps the game for so many different reasons, whether it's making content, enjoying it, watching it, spreading it, growth, whatever. It helps the game. It breaks my heart when we got players that we could have seen be superstars. I can't get up here enough. One of my focuses is to make sure that people never die, like Michael Beasley. The fact that he didn't become what he is, I put an emphasis on making sure anytime I can remind you who a Michael Beasley was, I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm. That's why I say 100% I'm okay with gatekeeping as long as the intentions are pure. You know what I'm saying?
Always going to be pure. We gatekeep because we don't want idiots in our shit. Yeah. When I saw Pat McAfee speaking on something, I'm like, there's no way he knows this shit.
He's an Indiana guy, so he goes to Fever games now.
There's no way you put up them pictures and you know, like, what are you talking about? There's no way you're familiar at all. And I'm not I'm not the NBA person that I am. It doesn't correlate to the WNBA, but I've always watched the WNBA casually, but I've never been locked in. I'm not going to lie to you. Mm-hmm. But I could tell you people from Wade moments. I remember when Maya Moore was in her bag. You hear what I'm saying? Like,
the greatest winner of all time?
We could go into it if we want to. We can really take it there.
That's why in the beginning of mine, I just said, I just try to go to the people that have been around for a long time. I just feel like there's certain stuff that if you have not been here, you don't need to have an opinion on. That's one of the things about where we are, as far like with people and specifically in sports. Everybody feels like they should have an opinion. There are so many things that somebody would like. If we at the barbecue or something in this family around, they would ask me my opinion about, and I will legitimately say I don't have an opinion.
Yeah,
and I think that's completely okay to just say I'm just not educated enough to talk about this subject.
Sometimes when you don't know nothing, saying nothing at all is your best thing to do.
It is. If you don't know anything, like if you somebody that just started, like the first time you seen a Caitlin Clark clip was this moment, you shouldn't be talking.
Yeah.
But that goes back.
I mean, not that you shouldn't be talking, but you shouldn't be acting like your opinion is gospel because it's so many different perspectives that you ain't even thought about.
That goes back to something I've said since this entirety of our podcast ever existed. I hate the term, and I don't know who came up with it, but everybody's entitled to an opinion. To me, is such a insane term. Everybody is entitled to an opinion, but the context is just because you entitled or can have one doesn't mean that you should. So if I'm in a barbershop and a dentist is getting his haircut by my uncle, I'm not engaging in a conversation unless I'm asking a question because I don't know shit about that lane. All I know is about sitting in a chair and visiting the dentist. If a mechanic is talking to us about cars, I'll ask a question, but I would never sit there, no, man, the V12 is better than a V6. That's not my lane. I don't know anything, but the internet has made people so comfortable with thinking, I'm entitled to an opinion. Are we all entitled to an opinion? I guess, literally, sure. But because you're entitled to something or because you can have one doesn't always mean that you should. It just does not. And I want to give a big shout out to somebody like Daniel Artest. He only talks about the WNBA. He only talks about the women's game, and he's been doing it for years. When he has a brother in the NBA who he could probably have easily made an NBA podcast and damn near probably could have got some guests or something from his brother's playing career and different things like that. Your boy,
Nikias Duncan and Steve
for
Smith.
years.
They had. I just listened to their news podcast.
It exploded.
They talked
years.
about the NBA Finals preview for 10 minutes, and the last hour was all W. They said, we'll come back in a couple days to talk about the NBA.
You said we had a long list of things to get into. Mm-hmm. You know what the people get today? They get a Pierre rant.
Ooh.
After the combine, which I already felt strong about this class in a certain way because I don't like that people calling it weak, right? But even then, I'll come to the conclusion that everybody's obviously can have any opinion that they want. You know what I mean? And when you genuinely do your due diligence and research, if you genuinely feel like this draft class is weak, then hey, you deserve to have that opinion and stand on that. But what I don't like, specifically with the media, the NBA media, is like it's one thing to say something is weak in comparisons to others, or you just not, it's not the best draft to you or whatever. But it just feel like every day I open up my phone and go to an app or something, and I'm constantly seeing people try to dogpile on this class in a negative way. Mm-hmm. And like, it to me, it's getting to the point where I'm like, what's the purpose? What are we doing? What's the attempt? Yeah. And it's like the other day, the number one pick, and you're basically getting Tobias Harris or Derek Lively. I wouldn't trade this. Some team said they wouldn't trade this pick for the fifth starter on a really good team like Lou Dort. When I start hearing stuff like that, it's like it's a little classless, a little tasteless, because at the end of the day, when you have the opportunity that we had to go sit with these guys, and it's a lot different than watching film and looking at 40-inch verticals on paper and different things like that. You reminded that these guys, a lot of them are 19-year-olds who are about to reach a level that they've worked their entire life to get, and to just see people write them off without them even having the opportunity. Everybody deserves at least a chance to do whatever they're trying to do before they get written off. And it's a little disheartening for me being in the media because we should know better. There's a lot of guys in the playoffs right now who we didn't know were going to be where they are, like Jalen Brunson.
I can sit up here and tell you, I did not think this was going to be Jalen Brunson's career. Nikola Jokic was drafted during a Taco Bell commercial. So the fact that we sit up here and we write off things so quickly when we have all of the evidence in the world that shows us the guys aren't always in our face. We don't know. So the judge, Derek, that smirk you just gave me, that was a wild line in this rant.
And sometimes the guys are in your face and they don't turn out to be the player that you expect them to be.
That too. And the irony behind that also is like they don't like this draft class or it's weak because they don't have the top end talent. But then you go back and you prove my point by saying you wouldn't trade it for a Derek White or you wouldn't trade it for a Luke Dort. I feel like we have a lot of high-level complementary players in this draft, even though you might not be able to see the star. And I do think and feel, just with the odds and how the draft works, because we don't have the easy spottable one, there's probably one that's going to be picked at 17, or there's going to be one in the 20s or the 30s. Yeah, that we're not recognizing because that's just how it is. But if you tell me, if I was a betting man and they could tell me that I could take $10,000 and I can bet on I don't know how many players, but you're telling me no player in this draft will be, and this is no disrespect, will be better than Lou Dort. I would take my $10,000 and put that on that somebody out of this draft would turn out to be a better player.
I mean,
than Lou
one
Dort.
of the main things.
No disrespect to Lou Dort, I must say no disrespect when I say that. Yeah, it's just weird. It's just weird to see people be so thirsty and quick to write off things and not even give somebody an opportunity or a chance, especially at 19. Yeah. A lot of the players we see and that we love, they weren't the player they turned out to be at 19. Kobe at 19 is not the Kobe we know and love. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, even Vic, what we saw of last year of Vic is not the Vic that we're going to be like, man, this is, you know? So it's just extremely weird. And I went back, and again, this is no shot at Bill Simmons or Ryan Russello or nothing like that, because a lot of those things came from the podcast, whatever they had. Because Bill Simmons has said some really great draft things in his career.
I remember the whoa when Anthony Bennett got drafted. That was
the 2009 specific draft. There is a BS report of him and Chad Ford talking about the draft. And if I played that hour and so episode for y'all would laugh because they would.
2009, who's number one?
Blake Griffin.
Okay, great.
They're on that episode, and I listened to it this morning. They were on, and again, this is not a shot. We all miss and hit in the draft, but it just shows you why we should learn from the past. He was on there saying, this is the worst draft in 9 years. This draft is the worst since 2000.
Well, I was about to say, worse than 9 years would have put it, yeah.
And it turns out,
because when we really talk about bad draft class, 2000 is like that's the one. But even that produced a few All-Stars.
For sure. But I can understand that one though. And also hindsight, because Kenyon Martin was the shit coming out of that draft class. But they were saying like, yeah, here's one of the quotes. I wrote down some of the quotes. How do you explain Drew Holiday? Terrible year at UCLA. Drew Holiday they say is going to be one of the first point guards to get drafted in the top 10, averaging less than 10 points as a guard. And we see how he turned out. They were saying they can't make sense of like, or Chad Ford was saying he can't see how Drew Holiday, Brandon Jennings, and DeMar DeRozan are pros.
Wow. Two of those ended up being All-Stars.
They're still in the league.
Maybe even Hall of Fame cases,
yes,
depending on how the next couple of years go.
Bill Simmons, DeRozan and Holiday, never when I watched them this past year screamed top 10 pick to me. Earl Clark is a top 5 talent in the draft.
Oh, man.
Bill Simmons, my favorite player in this draft is Eric Maynor.
Shout out to VCU's very own.
And I loved Eric Maynor, but never even back then did I think he was like my favorite player in that draft class. And that's what draft stinks. Worst draft in 9 years, 5 good guys in this draft. And that draft turned out to have Steph Curry, Blake Griffin, James Harden, Ricky Rubio.
We just did a TikTok, and that was one of the top 10 draft classes of all time in that TikTok.
But even in some of the things he said in there, to give him his credit, and why I'm not taking no shots at him, he said he didn't like Hasheem to be at 2. He thought he would have been better being picked later.
Even the Grizzlies was like, we messed up.
He thought he was
10 minutes
and
later.
then he says like, yeah, I don't like him at 2. He'd probably be better with the Knicks at 8. But at least he said they rarely.
Jordan Hill.
Yeah, we took Jordan Hill.
James Bouknight. Where's he in this league? Johnny Davis, who had a 7-0 run against, was that the Denver Nuggets you mentioned in the group chat? It's just
Johnny
one of those
Davis.
things, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like Young and Fun makes sense on paper, but if you don't have like a true 1A, Young and Fun doesn't exist. You're trying to find that through the players that you've drafted, and a lot of times you don't.
All right, we're gonna pause the brakes a little bit. Young and Fun exists. Y'all just need to do your damn job right.
I would say a lot of those franchises they haven't really been taking care of all the what they need to
Pelicans
do.
were young and fun at a time.
They
when
were.
they did the Anthony Davis trade, and they had Lonzo, Ingram, Zion, Josh.
But that's
Hart.
not through the draft. They traded the best player in their franchise history, one of the 2 best players.
That's what he's saying, right? The Pelicans trading, right? You said sell the
But
team.
we were
I
talking
think
about
it's a
draft
fire
picks.
sale.
Oh, I
Well,
mean,
regardless
it's-
of what
it's
you're bringing
bold.
in, whether it's
Yes.
young players or draft, I think it's just it could be a better outcome than whatever this regime is going to get you in the grand scheme of
Yeah,
things.
because either that or you just be stuck in the middle, just doing nothing.
That's
'Cause I
my
mean-
main thing with these GMs and these teams and these owners, really, is like you have to accept what is there. We can all dream. We can all say, man, hypothetically, Zion come back and he doing. It take no work to do that. Us 4 up here can run the whole league if we just being optimistic about everything. But at what point do you sit back and look at the results? That's the hard part of the job. I understand the appeal of what Zion could be, but what has he been? What has it gotten? That's the toughest part about the fucking job, in my opinion, that these guys don't want to accept and look at. But the ones who do, the Sam Prestys of the world, they end up where they are. This is not Sam Presti's first time. There is also a team that was James Harden, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, Serge Ibaka. That team existed too. So he knows something of what he's doing, whether it's getting rid of a Paul George when it's time to, whether as much as we love Russell Westbrook, it's a mutual thing that we should just, he is the embodiment of OKC, but we come to a mutual agreement that it's the best decision for both of us. It's going to hurt our fan base losing him, especially after losing Kevin. But boom, we now have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Williams, Chet, and nobody in OKC is giving a damn about the fact that we don't have Russ anymore.
He's a statistical outlier.
He is.
He's
but
the one case
in
out
a
of
league
100.
where there's always an outlier. But what happens when there's always an outlier? It's a copycat league. Y'all need to
I
start
agree.
copying cat
I agree.
the
I was-
right way.
I was thinking the same thing. Like OKC is they're the top of the crop when it came to that. But there's some space in between where you can get in with it.
Oh, I can name another team.
Danny Ainge is the other one.
You can name Danny Ainge. I'm also the next team that I have, the Memphis Grizzlies. Their X factor is the development. Keep developing, because when we get to playoff time, you're going to be secure enough and confident enough for Taylor Jenkins to say, I can sit Ja Morant in game 2 of the first round for 4 or 5 minutes because I've allowed Scottie Pippen Jr. all season long to gain confidence to be able to be out on the floor and execute what I need him to while our star player sits down. How many teams do shit like that? They don't.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of these teams suck, and I'm tired of it.
That was a weird turn though. I didn't expect it to get that.
It was, bro. I just been so
I'm
happy
just saying
with
it's frustrating when you we have a job that we do, a part of the media, but at the end of the day, we are what we are because we're fans. And I hate how the league is a copycat league, but they pick and choose with the copy. When everybody was going small and shooting threes, y'all copied that. But now when it's time to actually do the work and draft well, and how many times now are we going to see a 4-year player fall way later than he's supposed to, and now don't connect us with the Lakers? Shouldn't we be at a point now where we say,
Or Jaime Jaquez with the Heat.
we should start looking at these guys. We still should think about upside and young players too, but we should start considering the fact that depending on what team we are and what state of the franchise we're in, we should start to look at who can come in and give us exactly what we need. But we're so far from that because they don't want to do the hard part.
At this point, they damn near not gonna have no more choices, especially with that damn second apron. Like finding a rookie or a 4-year player that you can get and feel what you need. I feel like that just pays for a damn self on a rookie deal, especially for the first couple of years.
Because he's more developed than a 19-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ryan Dung is young as hell, but the Suns did an excellent job this year in terms of like what they needed. Of course, they're still like in the grand scheme, they're
Always have.
rookies.
They're the team that went and got Cam Johnson in a year that everybody was like, what? Kobe White, what?
Mm-hmm. And granted,
They're
so
also
Ryan
the team
Dunn
that
is,
said they don't care about draft picks too.
who the Suns said that?
Yeah. James Jones said that.
I mean,
Another team that I got, I had Orlando Magic. Something that's been kind of attacking them all year is health, especially to their 2-star players. If they could just get healthy at the right time and go on a run that they're supposed to go on, because they right now no Paulo, no Franz. This is a team that could fall down the standings. They might have to go on another second half of the season run that they went on last season, especially when you're talking about not having your 2 all-star caliber.
that third, and they were
Yes.
scoring,
They still hitting
and
shots.
Serbia was still hitting the 3. I'm like, bro.
Yeah.
Because I thought after the fourth quarter, I thought was going to be after halftime. I thought they was going to come out the gate and we was going to see that change. But it felt like they would chip, and then they come back at 3-3-3. I'm like, oh
play
my
Derek White
goodness.
fouling the shooter.
Yes.
I was like,
That
man.
was like those players was pissing me off. And then again, seeing Jason Tatum had a DNP, and I'm not like some Celtic fan or Jason Tatum, stan, but it's like when we're down, when they have control over the whole game and we can't get any source of, rhythm or anybody to kind of juice up the scoring or give us anything, it's like, you got to start changing it up a little bit. I even saw Draymond tweet, like, at some point, you just got to scrap your rotations. Like, you just got to start just...
Because that's his coach.
That's his coach, yeah.
And it doesn't even make sense for Tatum to not even be in your primary rotation.
To begin with.
Yeah.
But cool. But it's like, all right. But now it's like, it's super crazy because you don't really have anything to say because the guys playing in front of him aren't doing anything. Nobody was really doing anything outside
I
of
don't like it
LeBron
because
stuff.
his comments kind of contradict himself. It's like, it's hard to play this 10-man rotation, whatever. I wanted to get the right matchups. Serbia has a lot of guards and big. Like, Tatum can't guard one of them guards. Or he didn't have Kevin Durant and LeBron, like, kind of like trying to body Jokic up. Like, Tatum can do all those little things like that.
The one moment I thought that Tatum was going to get some run is Anthony Edwards was awful in this game. And I thought that at halftime they were going to make the adjustment to not play him in the second half because he had some bonehead turnovers. Defensively, he wasn't there, and they were leaving him wide open. I think he only attempted 1 or 2 shots or whatever. And I was like, I tweeted, like, Anthony Edwards' minutes should go, and that's when we should see Tatum, right?
Yeah.
And Anthony Edwards checked back in the third quarter. Now, he had like a 2-minute stretch before he was yanked again, but I thought that was the time for Tatum. But again, I can't really say I care because we won. Like, I understand, Tatum is a top 10 player in the world right now, so it is 100% weird that he's not getting any PT at all. But, like, I'm trying to figure out where exactly he does end up playing.
In those minutes where you're down double digits to a team that you had a 16-point favorite over.
Over who, though?
Whoever was struck. To be down 16 means I got plenty of options. Mm-hmm. If you down 16 in the game, there ain't no for who.
Yeah.
Did we all watch the same game?
I'm thinking about who's on the court.
You just said Anthony Edwards. Boom, take his ass out.
And he did eventually. But I
for
thought
the same people.
That stretch was.
Yeah.
But
I felt like Tatum should have been the first guy off the bench coming out at halftime.
I could see that.
There was plenty of time. They had full control over this game.
Kevin Durant,
for 3.5 quarters. Mm-hmm. We were not just losing, we were losing badly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This was almost a 20-point game. Mm-hmm. Right there, I'm like, okay, I got to do something.
But I'm thinking about when the comeback actually happened. It's Steph Curry, KD, Bron, it's Book, and it's Embiid. I feel like that was perfect eventually. Like, eventually he opted to no Derek White. Derek White played awful as well. Defensively, he wasn't on top
Another
of
guy that
he fouled, but he only played like 6 total minutes.
I would love to see some 6 minutes from Jason Tatum. I'm just saying,
I see both points.
I'm going into it like Derek White has been incredible this entire run. Yesterday he was bad. So like before the game, you're not gonna be like, well, Derek White is gonna shoot 0 for 2 and foul a 3-point shooter, so I'm gonna have Tatum in that spot.
But the logic
you
using is for a regular season like Warrior team. This isn't your usual team. So like I don't understand why we have to get to a point where somebody like Jason Tatum is getting legitimately a DNP in a game down 16. We can sit up here and try to calculate minutes and all that shit. Yeah. The point is you were down significantly to this team who had control over this game for majority of the game. There was ample time to give him some sort of opportunity to see. It don't mean he has to play 15 minutes. It just means we're trying something different because what we doing ain't working. And to be honest, them coming back and winning this game has shit to do with Steve Kerr because the players went and got it. This was a game that Steph Curry, LeBron, Durant, and Embiid said, we are not going to lose.
Don't forget
They
Book.
willed this game. Book. They willed themselves to this win. This had nothing to do with coaching and X's and no. They said, we ain't losing. That's what I saw from individuals who were on the court collectively. We aren't losing. So it's just like, that's all I'm saying. At the end of the day, we did win. And again, I'm not here to be the Jason Tatum say, but it just doesn't make sense. And at some point, we have to talk about it and address it because what are you doing? What are you doing? Nobody can make this make sense to me even after a win because you damn near lost this game.
I think it's too much.
You should be kissing them stars on their cheeks.
It's too much overthinking. He's just too talented to not be able to touch the floor.
I can agree. Like, again, Tatum is a top 10 player in the world. It is 100% weird that he can't touch the floor at all. But since they are winning, it's like, so be it. We have Bron James. We have
to
KD.
a certain extent. I agree, but this is going to be a conversation. This won't get swept away.
I think it'll matter more in 4 years.
Yes, it will.
When Tatum is like, do I even care? To
and a lot of people. If Steve Kerr is still coaching, you have to make sure if you
this his last year.
I'm not sure. But if Steve Kerr is coaching or whatever, because of this situation, people are going to have to look at this because are you going to commit your summer to this for this?
Yeah.
Obviously, he wants to play, but that experience and being on that roster still got to be like life changing for a person like him, especially at like what he's kind of been through and
I don't
having
know.
the championships, still being on that roster,
Life changing to get
to be on the
DMVs?
Olympic teams.
All of the
I think it's
all
more
of this
so- yeah.
experience, all of this experience.
It's not like he didn't play though, too.
all of the experience for him has been this. This is his experience.
I think also.
I think
Every
there's
time his
something
name
to
has
gain
come
from
up
being on
around
that
us.
bench. I'm not saying it's the right thing.
I'm not saying it ain't nothing to gain, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying majority of the shit that is correlated to him being on his team is not them winning. It's him getting DMPs. Can you name me a player ever in history with his resume at his age on the Olympic team that had these situations?
Nobody.
It's not really.
We're
many.
not talking about not playing significant minutes. We're talking about DNPs.
Like the coach
Yeah, I
ain't even
agree. I
looking
don't
your
think
way.
anybody up here don't think it's just weird.
That's
at
all I'm saying.
I know. I think it's weird.
If
Like I
Steve
said-
Kerr came to answer these questions about this, and he gave me a answer that can make some sort of sense to me, I would shut the hell up. But whenever he's saying these things that you're saying, or the numbers games and all of these, it has nothing to do with.
It's more of a math problem.
It's like I don't. You got to the math. That I'm just not good at math.
His
then.
math ain't mathing.
Oh, I'm not
Exactly.
good at math.
No, I think it's Steve Kerr.
Yeah, we just seen it at different scales. It's the Olympics makes it just different. I mean, it happens occasionally with like the ninth man in the rotation in real life. Where like, oh man, this guy's been playing pretty decent. He's out for 2 weeks. Now the 10th man took his spot, and now he's got to fight back for it. And in this situation, Jason Tatum is the 9th or 10th man. Again, not saying that it's the right thing, but that's just the kind of way it was. That's his mindset.
That
It's
shit
a
don't
fair
matter to
point.
me. I got to give him a chance.
Yeah.
It was- because
He's such a talent that, like, honestly, he could go out there and explode for 20-some points real fast. And, like, now you're looking at that completely different. So, like, you just got to give him a chance. Like you said, Derek White wasn't on shit. You started in the first half. We could play Tatum in the second half.
And according to those numbers, he was on shit before that, and he didn't do anything. So it's just like you just got to see what the way that the
and
game
the minutes
is.
he did play, he did look the best when he was getting to that rim.
I more
that's
so
the best
wanted to
thing
see
about
him
his
for the
game.
defensive end because it was so many times where somebody got matched up on Jokic that was a lot smaller, and obviously Jason Tatum is still small too, but even smaller than Jason Tatum, like a Derek White or whatever, and they would have to send bodies, and now he's kicking it out and they hitting those threes. So I was looking at it like, man, just put him in because he's 6'8". Like he's gonna be 6'8". Granted, I'm not saying he can guard Jokic, but if he gets switched on him for 2 seconds, you know what I'm saying?
Your defense ain't got to panic.
Ain't got to panic at least. So it's like I was looking at that because I couldn't believe the amount of threes that they were hitting, especially when USA was trying to get its rhythm and trying to start those runs.
The
It was
one that
like,
killed
nah.
me most